Hey everyone, this is an interesting turn of events. The Liberals, they recognize. You know darn well they know what's going on. They can put out the political rhetoric and the political messaging, and yeah, those who represent the established media, yeah, they'll propagate that for them on a continuing, ongoing basis, because yeah, they're all ideologues that fall in line with each other. Make no mistake about that, folks. In this country that I call Canada, this country that I was born and raised in, it's a sad reality. I don't even like to acknowledge this myself, to be honest with you, because it's a little bit harmful to my psyche, to the understanding, the things that I was raised to believe, right? It's difficult. And I get why a lot of people get that cognitive dissonance when they hear a lot of truth these days, because you've been indoctrinated for so long. The truth is not just seemingly outrageous and out of this world to you, but obviously destroys all that stuff that you built up in your mind that was built and based upon the political rhetoric or the indoctrination jammed down your throat or thrust in your head for all those many years through the education system and horizontally enforced by ideologues and not thinking critically about these issues. Like I say, the problem with ideologies, well, in particular authoritarian ideologies, is they deny any semblance of reality or logic and replace that with utopian hypotheticals or state-funded propaganda, predominantly those from the CBC, to keep you just barely informed enough that you're not a complete knuckle-dragger, but not so informed that you'll recognize the propaganda that was jammed in your head for all those years. That's a fine line that those authoritarian collectivists have to walk and where they got to function. But that's one area that they seem to have been doing a pretty good job in recent years and recent decades. Although nowadays that we live in the age of information, where they no longer have the monopoly or the control over the propagation of information or education, well, they're really starting to lose that battle, and they're getting more and more desperate by the day. Morality or ethics be damned, the federal Liberals are bound and determined to form government after October of 2019. And while they're finally starting to recognize and acknowledge that the pulse of the nation is mostly against them, well, they're not ready to give up those reins of power just yet, and they've still got a couple more tricks up their sleeve as a means to make sure they're in power for yet another term. And I don't think Canadians can afford to allow that to happen. Headline of the Hill Times, and this is, I would say, a breaking news story, folks. Liberals trigger National Electoral Urgency Clause that allows party to bypass nominations rule 10 weeks from election. This being reported by Abbas Rana, August 12, 2019. With the next federal election only 10 weeks away and about 100 ridings without nominated candidates, the federal Liberals have triggered a National Electoral Urgency Clause that allows the party to bypass the nomination process and appoint candidates directly, making some would-be candidates nervous they might not get a fair shot in the nomination contest. Liberal Party Communications Director Braden Cayley confirmed in an email to the Hill Times that the party has imposed an administrative provision to complete the nomination process as soon as possible. The Liberal Party Constitution allows the national campaign chair to declare electoral urgency nationally or in one or more electoral districts. During that period, the chair gets the unfettered discretion to change the timelines and procedures in the candidate nomination process. In any such state of electoral urgency, the national campaign chair or their designate may alter the timelines and procedures fixed by these rules in such a manner as he or she, in their sole and unfettered discretion, may see fit for any electoral districts, providing that any changes to these rules so enacted shall forthwith be communicated in writing to any potential or qualified nomination contestant of whom the national campaign chair has knowledge, who may be affected, states the party constitution. The failure of any such person to receive such notice shall not invalidate the declaration of electoral urgency. So I'll give you a notification, but it don't matter. They could still override that anyway. So anyways, folks, I'll place a link to this article in the description of the video below. But think about what this represents. The Liberals know that they're in a losing position, right? But look at how desperate they are. Now Trudeau, like he loves that basic dictatorship under China. And we've heard him say that. It was words right straight from the man's mouth himself, right? So we know how much of a fan he is of this kind of a top-down authoritarianism, right? And basically he's saying, yep, or his party, him and his party, the Liberals are saying, yep, let's just double down and we'll just pick candidates. Never mind allowing the electorate or the voting population to decide who's going to be their representatives for their party. No, we're going to appoint them, right? Forget about democracy. We're going to appoint them. Like, how dictatorial. And why? Well, you know why that is. Because it's all come out as a consequence of the revelations in terms of, and that was my video, and I'll post a link to that in the description of the video below, but as well. But yeah, we've already seen that, and there was a video I put not even that long ago, less than, a week ago? Maybe 2 or 3 videos ago. Anyways, you'll see. Where, yeah, actually, the Conservatives have the most, I think, nomination. I'm just picking these numbers off the top of my head here because I don't remember every one of them. I think at that particular time, that was reported on August the 1st, I believe was what it was. It was the Conservatives have 323 out of 338 as far as the candidates for the ridings. And number 2 is the People's Party of Canada. A brand new political party started under the leadership of Maxime Bernier. Like, just what? Less than, well, it's been more than 6 months. I thought it was around 6. It's been more than 6 months, but what? Less than a year old. What, 9, 10 months old. So brand new party. And they're in second place as far as having how many people nominated across the entire country. So there's 338 write-ins, and I think the People's Party of Canada has, I think it was 309. So barely just a little bit behind the Conservative Party in second place as far as the nomination process. The Liberals, the Greens, the NDP, they're all way, way back there to the tune of almost like, what, 80, 90? Like in the high 100s or low to mid 200s. All of them are way, 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 like, so if there was first and second place, they're like real close. And then the guy that's in third place, which was it the Liberals, I believe at this point, they're like way, way back there. You'd actually have to pan the camera back to see them, right? So they're way back there, and the Liberals are like, well, we can't have that. Oh, that looks terrible that we don't even have enough people that want to run for our political party, and we can't allow this process to unfold where people actually get to choose or select who that candidate is in the right. No, we better just start, picking them for ourselves and imposing them on the people, whether they like them or not, right? That's the Liberals' way of doing things now. That's the modern Liberals' way of doing things. Actually, it's not just modern. I guess historically, even though they want to call themselves liberals, the only thing they seem to be liberal at, as far as I know, and based on some of the historical precedent, is they're very liberal at doling out authoritarianism or top-down collectivism, basically. That's where they're liberal. But liberal as far as actually affording people their freedoms and their liberties, no, not so much. And this is just further proof of that. They're willing to do whatever schemes to manipulate not just the voting base, but the media. I mean, the $600 million that they're handing out to the media, the fact they're trying to silence and suppress people who are in the alternative media, or these social media platforms that they've been bullying and telling them that, oh, you better do what we tell you or else we won't allow you to propagate your platforms in our country, more or less. Just bullying these people, these social media execs. And yeah, like I say, I've covered all that stuff. Just look through my past videos if you need to get up to speed or informed in regards to that stuff. But yeah, look at how authoritarian these people are. Why do people support them? I don't know, folks. This is some strange stuff. This is a strange world we live in today. And even though these leftists talk about that they're against, people that are seeking power, who's seeking power any more than these leftists, than these authoritarian collectivists? Come on. And it's not like I'm defending their right-wing counterparts, like these neocons or these sheer conservatives. Yeah, they're very much authoritarian collectivists too. It's just that they do a much better job than the liberals. Or, I guess maybe it's that they have a much more firm and entrenched base. That's the thing with the left. They move all over that spectrum because they don't, which one's going to promise me more freebies, right? Where I guess the people that predominantly identify on the right side, which one's going to stick closer to the principles? I don't know. A lot of times that's even up in the air and open to interpretation to people. That's the thing with politics, folks. That's the problem with power. It has that corrupting nature that, like I say, no matter if you come from the right side or the left side of the political spectrum, if you embedded entrenched power and you're part and parcel of a political party that has had that kind of entrenched and embedded power for so long, it's very, very corrupting. That's something that you can't say when you're talking about Maxime Bernier or the PPC. Maxime stepped outside that realm of comfort where he could have got his paycheck if he had just went along to get along with the conservative leadership. No, he was someone that said, I'm brave and bold enough to step out on my own and start up my own political party, my own venture, as a means to push back against the ruling establishment. He's saying he's going to reject and forego all that entrenched and embedded power and appeal to the Canadian people based on their sensibility, their morality, their reasonable nature, and their ethical stance in regards to what it is to be a free human being. Maxime's saying, I'm going to trust you as the Canadian people to do the right thing. All I've got to do at the end of the day is put forth these very serious and important principles that we all stand upon, and rather trying to force or impose myself on the people, I'm going to let freedom flourish and let that free market speak for themselves. And I hope Canadians show up in large numbers with solidarity, not just with Maxime Bernier and the PPC, but what it even means to be a free human being in this very early part of the 21st century. Let's get Canada on that proper path going forward, folks. And let's put the ruling establishment and the hacks in mainstream media on notice so that they can better correct their own internal biases, habits, and behaviors, and join the rest of us in our endeavor. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.